Hello, my friends, it's Kim. Today I have another, I'm calling them use it up recipes. Now I have that milk. It's just starting to turn on me. It's like 3 days past its quote expiration date. So I want to get it used up. I've got maybe half a gallon left. So I decided it would be fun to teach you guys how I make homemade chocolate pudding. There's actually two ways to do it. You can do it like I did that make your own cream of mix where you use the flour and the oil to make the roux, which is R-O-U-X, roux. To make the white sauce, you can add sugar to that and cocoa powder because that's another way to thicken it. But today I'm going to do it a little bit easier, and I'm going to be using some cornstarch just because it's just a different way to show you how to do something. But remember, you can do it either way with the roux or with the cornstarch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have 1/4 cup of cornstarch here. To that, I'm going to add, these are 1/4 cups, so I'm adding 1/2 cup of sugar. Okay. Then I will be adding, because I want this to be chocolate, now you could add, you know, whatever you like, but I decided since the boys have really been patient with me with all these crazy cooking recipes lately, that's 1/4 cup of just cocoa, the cocoa powder, that I decided to give them a break and make them, I'm going to make them a chocolate pie. I was digging through my stuff and I found a pie, graham cracker pie crust that I had. So I'm like, you know what, let me do something nice and make them a pie. All right, and that's about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. To that, I'm going to turn on my heat just slightly. And I have 2 cups of milk. All right. Now it's just a matter of stirring this stuff together, warming it up until it starts to thicken. At the end, I have, so you'll know ahead of time, 1 tablespoon of butter. And I will be adding a teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, I think, for myself, I think it would be excellent if it had, I would use mint extract, but the guys don't really care for that. So now I'm going to stir this constantly for, it takes, you know, if you use the cooked pudding from the store, it takes 5 minutes. It's about that long. So what did I use here? I used a little cocoa powder, some sugar, some cornstarch, a little bit of salt, and that was basically what those little boxes are. But if you look at the little boxes, I'm sure there's a lot more ingredients in there because you still have to add your own milk anyway. All right, so I'm going to stir this and stir this and stir this until it comes up to temperature. If you know anything about cornstarch and flour, it has to get pretty much to that boiling point before it starts its thickening powers. And I don't want to do this fast because it's milk. So once this gets up to temperature, I'll be back. All right, I hope you could see it. See how nice it's starting to thicken? It took less than 3 minutes. It took about 3 minutes for it to get to this point once I got it in the pan. So now that it's starting to thicken up, the cornstarch is doing its job. I'm just going to stir it for a minute because this is a pie. I want it a little bit thicker so it kind of holds together. If I was doing this as a pudding, I would probably use just a little bit more milk, maybe 1/4 cup more. And as soon as it started to thicken, I would quit. But like I said, I want this to be just to be able to hold together in my pie shell. All right, so I'm turning the heat off. The next thing I'm going to do is, one at a time, I cubed my tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to melt these in. This is completely optional, does not have to be done. But if you're using a lower fat milk, like I said, it just brings kind of some of that richness to it. Okay, so I cut it basically into what? I got here 6 pieces. I'm going to stir them in until they're pretty much melted before I add the next one. And the residual heat should definitely help. It's just going to add some of that creaminess to it. Make it a little bit more yummy. All right, so we're almost there. Now see how nice and thick it's getting? The big thing when you make your own pudding is, and I'll remind you that in just a minute here, you need to put something on the surface of the pudding. Plastic wrap, or you could probably use parchment paper. Okay, this is the last of the butter. Because if you do not do that, it forms a skin, like a tough skin on the top, and it's not so appetizing. But we're going to get to that step in just a minute here. So now I just want to add some vanilla. Use some of that yummy vanilla my daughter-in-law made me. A teaspoon or a little more because I like vanilla, fresh vanilla. Stir that in. If you add your vanilla too soon, you're going to cook most of that taste out. Most people don't understand that in cooking, when you get the high heat, it will cook some of that flavoring out. So always add your vanilla at the end once you started to turn off the heat. All right, so let me get you over to my pie shell. Here's my pie shell. It's just one of those pre-made Keebler pie shells. I don't even know how old it is. It's probably been here for a while. And now it's just a matter of pouring my mixture into my pie shell, and we're going to cover it, like I said, cover the surface here in a second. Let me get this all scraped out. All right, I tore my plastic wrap already because you don't need to see the battle of the plastic wrap. I don't know what it is with me and plastic wrap, but literally you're going to lay this right on the surface, and yes, it's going to pull a little bit off, but you do not want that to have that weird skin on top. And it's a matter of, I'm going to put that plastic dome that goes on here, I'm going to stick it in the refrigerator, and it'll be ready for tonight. So that's how easy it is to make your own chocolate pudding. Vanilla, same thing, just leave out the chocolate, and I think it turns out really good. I like the taste much better than the canned stuff or the box stuff, so I think it's got a more rich chocolate taste. So, all right, here's my pie. It's all done. And you can see it set up really nice. It's not liquidy anymore. It's got a little bit of jiggle like a pudding should. And the guys are upstairs. We ate a lot of corn for dinner tonight. My neighbor traded me some eggs for some corn, and honestly, that's what we had for dinner. I had 3 pieces of corn. I love fresh corn. I mean, they just picked it. They were coming out of the field when they stopped me to ask if I had eggs. So once we get hungry again, maybe we'll have this. Maybe we'll have it tomorrow. But either way, it's going to be delicious. If you have any questions on how I made this pie, I will try to remember to put the ingredients in the description box below. But if you have any questions or comments, please let me know, and have a wonderful day.